Hi Anti-Society, welcome back to the Anti-Social Planet, and today we are watching episodes 282 and 283 of Bleach. So we have been setting up a lot of different conflicts that have been going on, but we focused mainly on the fight against Baragan in the last episodes. Really like his power set, like his character design. I think the inevitability of aging in time is a really cool thing to go up against, and the fact that he was one of the naturally born Arrancar at Las Noches, well, Huecomundo, but also we found out that Las Noches was a thing that already existed before Aizen showed up. So I really liked getting some of that backstory and kind of the context of what the hierarchy and the kind of dynamic of Arrancar to Hollows was in Huecomundo before Aizen came in and kind of started to make things his own. But it looks like we are going to be touching on a few of the other fights that have been going on. I don't know if we are going to go to Hallibel's fight or if we are going to go back to Starrk's fight, because I would have thought we would have started with Hallibel and then gone to Baragan, but we've kind of gone out of order in terms of the numbering of the Espada, so I'm not really sure where we're going to end up with that, but excited nonetheless. We of course got to see a little bit of Hisagi versus Tosen, which I am super excited for, just in terms of the character development that is involved with that fight and the kind of the nuances of this kind of teacher-student relationship that is obviously they've ended up on different sides of this conflict, so I feel like there's a lot of potential to what that fight's gonna be. And like I've said before, Hisagi just has a really cool fighting style, so I'm going to be excited just to see him getting into these fights again too, even though he just recovered from his injuries, so I'm a little bit worried about how he'll deal with that, but we'll see eventually. We'll also have to wait and see about Shinji's fight. So he wanted to fight Aizen before Tosen got in the way, but it looks like he is up against Gin first, which is an interesting matchup with those two characters who kind of both put forth a very laid back, unbothered facade, but underneath they're far more observant and strategic about how they maneuver and stuff like that. So definitely intrigued to see how those two will interact with each other, especially since Shinji, last time he saw Gin, Gin was a child, so he didn't really spend a lot of time interacting with Gin or know him particularly well. So I feel like Shinji doesn't quite know what to expect out of Gin, which is my thought too. I don't really know Gin's fighting style all that well. We haven't seen him really get involved in any of the conflict firsthand. He had Kira fighting for him at one point. He sort of fought a little bit with Toshiro, but not really. We'll have to wait and see if we're going to get into any of that too. We didn't really touch on Starrk's fight all that much. We kind of glanced over his fight a little bit, so I don't know how far we're going to get into that. I assume that we will deal with Starrk before we get into Gin and Tosen, but very, very excited the more that we are getting closer and closer. The anticipation is building up, and I'm just so excited to see Visored and kind of these fights that we've been setting up for a while. So let's just get into episode 282. In 3, 2, 1, go. Ooh. Love. So I guess we are getting some of Starrk's fight. Interesting. Ooh. What are the wolves? Wolves? Isn't his first name Coyote? So maybe they're coyotes. Sure, slightly different. I feel like they're wolves though, because they're not as small as coyotes, but maybe that's just because of their spiritual pressure or whatever. But that was all the preview was Starrk's fight, so maybe that's what we're focusing for a little while. I think we'll get some of Hallibel's too, but I feel like because we've already kind of fought Hallibel, that I don't know how much of that fight we're gonna get in like any real detail. I really wonder how my boys are doing against Yami right about now. I worry about them. And Orukia. Let's not forget that she's also kind of holding up that group a little bit. Let's be honest with ourselves. Ugh, I'm worried about Ichigo too. We can't focus on it. Just focus on what's in front of us, or I'll worry too much about everybody. Like, what's Ishin doing? Anyway, focus. There are too many characters and I will worry about every single one of them if given the opportunity to think too much about it. Oh, he did a good job in this fight, though. Even like sacrificing his arm for the sake of like defeating him. Like, that's pretty metal, let's be honest. It's the opposite side of Soifang's tomb. Oof. I don't know. I feel like Gin always knows what's going on. He always knows more than he lets on. Scared me a little bit. I don't know why I jumped a little bit at that point, but like how Rose is like, help, please. Is there an art to it? Hachi, that's what they called him. He's a different name as like a Soul Reaper, but I'm assuming that they took different names when they became Vizard, or like pet names they have for each other. No, he seems to have decided to take revenge. I don't know. I feel like they become more serious the like more that their like comrades get defeated. Oh wow. That was a big bat. The spikes on it. It looks like a cactus. Not to ruin the moment, but it does. I do wonder if Stark legitimately has a blind side though. Like if his left side is actually like it's harder for him to see or like sense people on that side. Because I don't know how much his ability to sense like spiritual pressure will compensate for that. Kind of like Tosin. Like Tosin, even though he's blind, he's able to overcome that through like spiritual pressure and stuff. Yes, I do think someone is gonna end up dying. Like, let's just go home and sleep. That'd be me. I'm tired all the time, especially today. Did not sleep well last night. Anyway, why did Aizen appoint him as number one Espada? Like, is it a power thing? Is Stark just the most powerful, or is there something else about his nature or his personality that makes him better in that position than like Baragan or Halibel? Uh-oh. You know it's serious when the rock music starts playing. Is Lynette taking charge? I guess they don't know that Lynette is at the pistols. Nope. Ooh, close one. I wonder if Stark also just like doesn't. I mean, he doesn't really want to fight anyway, but I wonder if there's a sense of like self preservation that's also making him not want to be part of the fight. Like he's not invested enough in the fight to like want to fight to the death if he doesn't have to. Which is like kind of the opposite of what Shunsui was and kind of goading him into fighting. Where's Rose at? Just hanging out? Letting Love do his thing? Oh, there he is. Oof. Calling him a coward, though. I don't know if that's the way to go. I like the mixture of their two abilities, like Love being more close combat and then Rose being more distant with the like whip and the strings and stuff. Oof. Pillar of fire. Okay, sure. We've done pillar of ice. Why not fire now? Uh-oh. Y'all are gonna have to learn how to fight together. Like communicate, coordinate, something. And Lisa's just like all business. See? That's what I'm saying. You'll need to coordinate something between all three of you. It's true. Vizard have made it fairly clear that they are not actually allying themselves with Soul Society. They're just there for their own reasons. That happen to like line up temporarily with Soul Society. It's true. Especially if they're able to like switch up their patterns because like Lilith and Stark have like distinct ways of fighting that are like different, as Love pointed out. So it could make them harder to kind of predict what they're going to do. Wolves? You think they're wolves? Hmm. I don't know if just because he doesn't have his pistols means that he's unarmed. So is Lilinet the pack of wolves now? Because the pistols are gone? Ooh. Uh-oh. You're gonna have to do more than just get rid of them the normal way. Ooh. Well, dang, Rose. Okay. I don't know if they are. I always thought art is a kind of magic. It's all illusions. Uh-oh. Should probably aim for Stark. Just say it. Source of the magic. If they're just gonna keep regenerating or potentially exploding? Do they explode now? I'm very concerned. Ah, I would think so. So they're like Cito bombs, but also wolves. It's pretty cool. Not gonna lie. Oh? Oh. Being able to split his soul up, though. That seems like not a healthy thing to do. It definitely fits with his like aspect though, the fact that he's able to like even though he's like fundamentally alone, he like splits himself up into like different entities to kind of make up for the fact that he's alone all the time, like he's isolated. Oh. You're definitely not gonna run. You broke Love's glasses, though. Ooh, what happened? Where did that come from? I'm trying to think whose weapon that is. It's like I'd probably have to go back and really look at it to see who would fit that weapon. It doesn't help that there's some um like releases and like Bankai that I haven't seen yet, which means that I might not even know whose weapon it is because it'll look different. I don't know why I care. I'm like a little bit distraught about the fact that Stark just got impaled though. Like I know I shouldn't be cheering for him, but at the same time, there's so many times in Bleach where I'm like, but I kind of like the villains. I kind of like the antagonists. And not just in a like, oh, they're really good at being villains kind of thing. In a like, I kind of understand where they're coming from, which is just really good writing. But it does make my emotions go a little bit haywire. Ooh, was it Shansui's blades? It might be. Looks like it might be. Oh no. What poor Soul Reaper is just trying to practice something but being blamed as a ghost this time. Oh, Yamichika! Oh, Kira, even you? Oh. We focused a lot on Stark in that episode, which I was not expecting. Like I said before, I was like, we're gonna start with Halibel, right? But I guess because we've kind of already done her fight, that it's not quite as, I don't know, dynamic as going up against Stark and Baragan before that, because we already know her release form, we know something about her ability and her power level. So maybe that's part of it. I definitely like that Stark has that ability to kind of split his soul up into different pieces. I guess it's like spiritual pressure, but the fact that he's able to split that up not just into like Lilynet, but also like all of these other wolves. I'm pretty sure they're wolves. I only doubt that because his name is Coyote. So I'm like, maybe they're coyotes, but they seem too big to be coyotes. So I'm gonna go with wolves. But the fact that he was able to make kind of that pack of wolves out of spiritual pressure was really cool. Or Seto is really cool. So they say he's either like not really Seto, so I'm assuming it's like kind of a mixture of stuff. Like Seto, I'm assuming is also like spiritual pressure. You know, I'm not going to argue about the finer details of how the magic system of Bleach works because I honestly can't keep up with it most of the time. There's too many details. I'd have to like get my notebook out or something and like make sure I got everything right. So, regardless, it looks really cool. I also just really like the complementary abilities of Love and Rose together. I'm pretty sure I mentioned before about how they kind of have very different fighting styles and kind of attitudes, but they complement each other really well. And that we have like Love being more hands-on, close combat kind of style, and then you have Rose who's a little bit more likes to take a little bit more of a step back from the conflict and kind of fight from a distance. I really like Rose's like I don't know fighting gimmick. I don't know, like the whole strings and the whip and stuff like that, like the piano string kind of thing that he has going on. I just like it. The whole like, I don't know, Victorian gentleman kind of vibe that he has with his style. I just really like it, and I like his mask. That really looks like plague doctor mask kind of vibes. I don't know, it just it all works somehow. So I really liked getting to see them kind of play off of each other's abilities going up against Stark. And a little bit of a surprise at the end, we have I think Shunsui showing up, considering that he was in some of the preview and also it sort of looked like his weapon. Again, I'd have to go back and like kind of look at it, but it does look like his Zanpakuto, so looks like he is going to be joining back into the fight, which I'm excited for because we still have a little bit of a mystery about his whole Bankai thing. One, in that we haven't seen it yet, and you guys know I like a good Bankai, but also because we had Ukitake saying that he shouldn't be using it in like a public setting, like he shouldn't be using it where other people can see it, so that makes me curious about how exactly it works and why he would want to keep it a secret. So I'm very excited to maybe have the potential to see his Bankai in action and see how it works. So let's just get into episode 283 in 3, 2, 1, go. Uh-oh. Is Aizen getting involved? Because that seems like a bad time for everybody. Except maybe Aizen. I'm sure. I'm sure he would enjoy spreading a little chaos. We haven't seen any of Ukitake though, which like worries me because like is he that seriously hurt? Is somebody healing him? Like is Kira on that, or is he still dealing with like Momo and like Matsumoto and stuff like that? I just worry about these things. I'm trying to remember some of the other Visored and like where they're at. Because just seeing them all there together, it was like, hang on, what are you doing? Oh, we still have Wonder Waste there somewhere, don't we? I keep forgetting that they like exist. Yes, the Seto slash spirit wolves. You gotta go to the source, which is probably why Stark got got stabbed at the end of the last episode, because you gotta fight the source when they keep regenerating. Okay, but how come their eyes are normal when they have their hollow mask on? Like Love and Rose. Because Ichigo's eyes do the black with the yellow thing. I think I think Hiyori's also do that. I'm just wondering if that's like a creative choice to have the eyes stay the same for them as opposed to Ichigo, and then uh for like maybe expressions. Getting distracted though. Too focused on these two that you don't see that coming. Yeah. It does look like. Ooh, what was that? Shunsui? What is this? That's my question. Excuse me? Why are we able to move through inanimate objects and have our Zanpakuto move through inanimate objects? Just a question I would like to put forward. Yes, I would also like to know what the technique is. Oh, is it ability of his Zanpakuto? Oh, interesting. So there's different like levels, like there's different abilities and I don't know, world shifting depending on the game. I wonder what that would be translated into a bankai then. That kind of fits into like the playful tone that Shunsui had already while fighting Starrk. To have like his Zanpakuto also kind of have that playful side to how their abilities work. Are we threatening Lilanet again? Because we already tried that. And he did not react well to it. Where did the blades come from? That's cool though. He always has the two weapons. Ooh. Ooh. Yeah, the rules go both ways though. Gotta be careful. He was worried though. No, you gotta have the high ground, remember? You can't be fighting from below. Did he really destroy his wolves though? There were less wolves afterwards. Oh, I'm kind of sad that he lost Lilith though. Ugh. No mercy from Shunsui though. What a flip to a lot of what the Espada try to be. To want to be weak so that you can fit in with the group. Fit in with like a bunch of the different hollows instead of being somewhere else. You know, even just like in a hierarchy, you can never really be with people who are beneath you. Oof. So it's another game. Stark does have some good strategic skills. Ooh, lost the white. He also used the color that would do the most damage to him, though. The gamble, in order to win the fight. In the game, I guess. Interesting that there's something about, like, Stark's presence that also, like, that drains hollows and other people around him. It does it does put into perspective why he decided to join, though, to be around people who were strong enough that they would, like, survive being near him. Them? I feel like I should refer to them in singular, considering the soul separation and stuff. Ooh. Shunsui doesn't play around, does he? I'm ironic to say that given the whole games thing to his ability, but you know what I mean. Oh, does he feel indebted because it means he wasn't alone? Oh, because the other Espada. Oh, most of them were dead. Just looking, I'm like, oof. Most of them did not make it. Oh, this is kind of sweet though. Even if, you know, Espada is complicated. My feelings about Espada are complicated, which I think all Bleach fans could agree to. Didn't use his Bankai though. Didn't need it. Dang, he didn't need his Bankai to do that. I just realized that Shinsui's strong enough that he didn't, like, actually need to use his Bankai to make that work. I don't think so. I don't think the games count. I think those are just a skill of his Zanpakuto. Are we gonna get to Aizen? Maybe hint at what's gonna happen with Aizen. That was a giant spear though from Lisa. Have they figured out a way to all work together? I mean, maybe not with Toshiro. Sort of. They seem to be better coordinated. They're not bumping into each other. That's good. See, Lisa's eyes seem to be normal too. So I'm wondering, and Hiyori. So I'm wondering if it's like a design choice or if it's a distinct difference between Ichigo and the other Visored. Because sometimes I don't know what's just a aesthetic choice and what's like foreshadowing. I mean, obviously we know that Ichigo is different from the other advisors, so that's like not a grand reveal at this point, but I wonder if that's like a conscious choice to really visually show that there's a difference, or if it's just to make their emotions more obvious. We've been coming back to Aizen a lot. What are we doing? Oh, I don't know what he's about to do. I feel like almost like he's gonna just off her. Yeah, yeah, that was my thought. My whole body is tense now. I'm like, ugh. Even though I saw it coming, still freaks me out. So, so that's all of them, right? That's Halibel, Stark, and Baragan. Those are the three Espada, or the one, two, three, and I don't know which order I said them in. Anyway, those three, which means we still have Yami. So are we gonna go back to the Yami fight before we deal with like Tosen and Gin and Aizen? Are we gonna kind of flip between them? I don't know. But I'm very nervous. I mean, Shunsui seems to be doing okay. So I am also nervous about them fighting Yami though, because Ichigo's not with them. He's still on like the roof of Las Noches with Hime and Ishida. And I don't want like full on hollow Ichigo to show up. Ooh, are we gonna get some Halle Bell backstory? I'm actually like totally interested in that. Oh no, which ghost is it this time? Which Shinigami is just trying to live their life? Oh, hello. Okay, so we have to talk about Shinsui and like his powers and stuff because like I feel like my brain can't fully process it. Like the fact that there are these like games that have certain rules and like his abilities shift depending on what game he's playing and like it's all like through his Zanpakuto. I'm really curious, like, what the spirit entity is in his Zanpakuto, because I know that there's like a whole filler arc that's just about like the Zanpakuto and like the different entities that are in them, which I skipped over for the sake of like catching up to the main story. But now I really, really want to go back and watch that to see if there is anything about Shinsui's Zanpakuto specifically. I know that there's some other ones that we've already met, which is also interesting to me, but it's just like a really, really cool ability, but also like has some handicaps to it because the rules apply both ways. So it's not like he's the only one who ends up getting some kind of ability in that game. It's like whoever's also in the vicinity of like his spiritual pressure. So it's not like he is suddenly more powerful or has a different skill that like can't be also utilized by the person that he's up against, which is just it intrigues me to no end that this is his ability. Like the calling out the colors and like that's what you can cut is whatever the color is. Like what a oddly specific ability to be given. Or the like shadows and be able to like move through them and stuff like that. Just the certain little details where I'm like, I don't know why those are the rules. And I'm sure like Shunsui also doesn't know because it seems to be something that his Zanpakuto comes up with. So I would love to see more of like that ability and like kind of how he navigates around it. I also wonder if the rules ever change. Like, does his Zanpakuto ever go like new game or like new rules or whatever, and then it switches? I don't know. And like, have we seen all of the games? We've only seen 3 of them. The one with the shadows, the one with the colors, and then the one with the high ground. So like, I don't even know if those like the extent of what his abilities are, or if there's more games to that. And the fact that it's like games, like I was saying during the reaction, is like such a playful thing that I think Shunsui himself kind of sees fighting as a little bit playful from what we've seen of him actually getting into a fight. Obviously in this one he was more serious. He had a very serious expression while he was going through this particular fight, but a lot of the times he kind of sees them as games and kind of he's playful about them, and he's not really committed in the form of like it being like a death match or anything like that. So having that be translated into his specific abilities is also interesting to me. It was good. I'm sad though about Starrk and Lilinet, which is like not what I was expecting. I always get emotional about the Espada, and I have such a complicated relationship with the Espada, and I don't know what to do with it. Like most of the time I'm like, villain, bad, antagonist, bad, anyone who hurts the characters that I like, bad. And then the Espada come along and I'm like, but they're human too. And it overwhelms me a lot, especially since we have Halle Bell getting like killed off by Aizen, which I saw right before it happened, and then it still bothered me. And it looks like we're going to be getting some kind of backstory for her and like why she decided to join Aizen. Like, I get Baragan kind of got outmaneuvered, like he wasn't king anymore, and his whole thing was he was going to kind of stay close to his enemy and take revenge eventually. Starrk obviously wanting to be around people who are stronger, because like we saw, he kind of drained the power from those around him because he was so strong that he like impacted them so much. And like we've seen before that someone with a lot of spiritual pressure can have like a physical effect on people. Like I'm thinking specifically of when we first met Zedeki, where he like Ichigo was like actually like there was like a physical aspect to kind of the bloodlust that Zedeki had. So even previously with like soul reapers and stuff like that, we've seen that spiritual pressure can have like a physical effect on people. So I see that there would also be a parallel of that with the hollows. So obviously Starrk wanting to join with Aizen so that he could be around people who were powerful enough to survive, even though it didn't end up being like a friendship or family thing, because that's not really how Espada roll, or Aizen really. Like, let's face it, Aizen really just sees like who is useful, and if you are not useful anymore, you are no longer needed, which we have seen with Halliwell. And I'm so nervous. I'm so nervous about Aizen deciding to get involved. Like he's finally done waiting around and he's just going to deal with this himself, with I guess Gin and Tosen also backing him up, but very, very anxiety inducing to see that he's finally deciding to join. I will be curious to see if we are going to continue with the stuff that's happening in the living world, or if we're going to switch back to Huecomundo, because now that like these three Espada are going to be dealt with, I'm assuming we're going to have an episode with like Halibel and getting her backstory and stuff, and then we might finish with that and then shift back into Huecomundo to kind of be like, hey, remember Yami? Remember that we have like another Espada that's still kicking and needs to be taken care of. So I don't know if we'll switch or if we'll stay with the living world for a little bit. I feel like we will switch at some point. Maybe we'll go back and forth. I don't really know. But so much to like pull apart with this and get into my emotions, but we'll just have to wait and see how this all turns out. I'm looking forward to some backstory. I did want to see Starrk's backstory, so I'm glad that we did get some of that, even though it makes me sad. You can click this playlist to see my previous reactions, or you can subscribe so you don't miss the next time I post a Bleach reaction, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!